Hello everyone, and today we are announcing version 3.6 of the social contract. So the residence arrest max jail time reduced from 25 years to 10 years. I mentioned this in the actual residence arrest video, but now it's official. And the longest sentence is now omitted before average taken. This is mainly because I am absolutely terrified of the idea of a bunch of people voting 25 years in prison for myself. I won't be shy, I won't lie. So yeah, this is more reasonable. Even a 1-year prison sentence is quite horrible. So just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Charity market rates can be reduced or changed via 2/3 direct democracy vote. This was always intention. This was always the intention, but now it is official. Increased coin voting system fraud fine from $1,000 to $5,000. This is adding, this is if you're a voter. But if you are a fraudulent poll watcher, then I would suggest, if this is actually put into the social contract, it suggests a residence arrest for those fraudulent poll watchers. But remember, you need evidence if you are going to make a residence arrest. So, yeah, cameras are fully allowed. Cameras are encouraged. Added a $2,500 fee to run for the Hexarchy. Added a $500 fee to be listed on the charity market. So, I actually considered running for a state legislature recently. And I think I consulted with someone. And they said I would need 700 signatures, which I thought was outrageous. I thought was extremely limiting for who gets on the ballot. And a $2,500 fee, I think, is much more reasonable, because this is really meant to make it so there's not 5,000 people running for the Hexarchy. This is to limit that number down to something reasonable. For example, maybe 20 or 30 people. Goes from 1,000 people to 30 people because of this high fee. And this might even be too low, but we don't want to make it too crazy. And then same thing for charity market, same concept, but it's only $500 for charity market. This fee is to eliminate non-serious participants and to generate money for artistic council. So the artistic council gets all of it. That's what it says in the actual document. Added a digital coin counting and display system requirement for voting. Gives voters real-time local vote information. Especially helps for the charity market and Hexarchy voting. Weight is still used for the final vote count. So I'll be going over that more. This is extremely simple. I'm about to get more into that. And then increase the child tax slope from 60 to 90, an increase of 50%. Because I had some conversations about overpopulation and the birth rate and things like that. I really think 7 billion people or 8 billion people is too high. And I would hate to if everyone lived in arcology, it would be great to increase the child tax and have that 8 billion go down to 5 billion, go down to 4 or 3 billion. I think that would be ideal. But unfortunately, 99% of the population we won't have influence over. But either way, I think the child tax was a little bit too low. So this is the new vote counting system. And remember, the weight is still the actual count. Is still the weight. But now, when you go to your charity market, you see this. This is gorgeous. And then this tells you a little bit. The charities will make this themselves. This is their flyer. You can read this, right? But if you're you don't want to be loitering too much. The poll watchers don't want to distract the poll watchers. When you put a coin in, the poll watchers will have to shuffle you along. That'll be kind of annoying. It's not the perfect system. I think in the future we might get something better than this, at least for the charity market, because there's so many potentials. But yeah, so as you're voting, this is what happens. And obviously they're not all connected. This is just me linking things up for Blender. And here the black is the switch. The blue is the very simple circuit board in Arduino. They're like $8. And then it's wired up to the display. Very simple, very easy. This entire the firmware I personally can't write because I've never went down that avenue. But I'm sure a programmer could write the firmware for this in like 30 minutes. It's very simple firmware. And pretty much unhackable, but we'll still weigh the coins anyway. And yeah, really simple. This whole thing, this whole setup is probably going to cost under $30, I think. Under $30 for each unit. So if you have 100 units, you know, $3,000, but you only need to make that purchase once. So that's really not the end of the world. And then for the hexarchy, it's also very important, but for a lot of the other ones, it's not really as important. Like with the hexarchy, you might look and you say, okay, this candidate's in first, second, third, etc. I might want to go with the candidate who's in third place to try and bump him up to second, because based on how well you do is how strong your vote count is. So, I mean, it's not the ideal voting system, but it is better than the voting system we have now, for sure. And yeah, like, hopefully the poll watchers, like, yeah, the poll watchers, it might be a little bit harder than it seems to be a poll watcher in this system, because people can pretend that they're like thinking. They can pretend they're like thinking about their vote, and then they put a coin in, and then they walk over here, and then they pretend they're thinking about their vote, pretend they're thinking about their vote, and then they put another coin in. And if the poll watchers aren't really paying attention, you could put in like 2 or 3 coins and vote 2 or 3 times. So it's not, in that regard, I mean, it might not be as good as those old mechanical lever machines. I kind of like those. I kind of like those old lever machines. And maybe I'll just abandon this whole system and buy a bunch of those, assuming we can, or at least I can, make sure they are unhackable. But anyway, that's it for version 3.6. I hope you enjoyed the changes. I hope they're acceptable to you. And thank you, and have a nice day.